What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on part number 3 of the Tech 3 Challenge for the Gran Premio Monster Energy de Catalunya at the Circuito de Barcelona Catalunya for, like I say, round 3 of the series. If you have missed any of the previous 2 episodes, I recommend you go back and check them out. The Argentinian Grand Prix to open the season, and then the French Grand Prix at Le Mans. But if you are a returning viewer or you want to get up to speed, this is how the standings look. We head into round 3, 7th in the championship, but it is a pretty much a Ducati domination, with Marc Marquez leading the way in the Riders' Championship, Ducati Lenovo leading the way in the Teams' Championship, and Ducati leading the way in the Constructors' Championship. And as we head into practice, it's more of the same, with the top 3 locked out by Ducatis. Unfortunately, we are going through Q1 again. We end practice 1.1 seconds off, about half a second behind Raul Fernandez, and our curse of Q2 continues because we're not in Q2 at the end of Friday practice, and unfortunately it looks like that trend is set to continue as we head into qualifying, because it is raining here in Barcelona, and if you've seen the previous episodes, the wet weather doesn't quite get on with myself and vice versa on the MotoGP bikes. But this is how the order looks going into Q1. We've got myself, Vinales and Binder on the KTMs. We're all in Q1, all trying to fight for the Q2 spot. But I'm not feeling too optimistic going into this qualifying session. But never say never. We might surprise. We might get the feeling in the wet conditions. We'll have to wait and see. But as we head on to our first flying lap, we're getting the ride-height device down, and we're heading down the main straight. We've got, I think it's Vinales behind us. It is Vinales behind us because he started the lap on the tower. As we head into turn number 1, getting down the gearbox, but unfortunately braking far too late, down the gearbox too quick, locked the rear wheel up, got it sliding, and again into the end of the back straight, turn number 10. Again, we just can't get the bike stopped, run off the track, and that is pretty much all she wrote for the first lap of the session. As we skip on to our second flying lap, a little bit better, half a second going on to that back straight, but we've lost 0.4 of a second for some reason down on the straight. Whether we obviously just didn't get the exit out of turn number 9. We pick up a little bit of time obviously for not running on at the end of the straight, but it's not a lot of time, and our first flying lap is a 1:49.042, which is 1.3 seconds behind Vinales in 8th and 2.1 behind Morbidelli, who currently holds top spot. But unfortunately, as you see, again, we run wide going into turn number 1, and that's that lap cancelled. And then this lap gets cancelled because Fermin Aldeguer crashes out of his lap and brings out the yellow flag. So because of the yellow flag rule, we lose that lap as well. So it's not looking too good for us as we head into the end of our what will be final flying lap. We get it spun up on the curves across the line. It's better. It's only 3.5 tenths adrift of Oliveira, but it is still a long way off. 3.8 seconds off Iagora, who did a 43.8 and a 44.4 from Vinales. I'm not a genius, but I think there might be a bit of a glitch there, because a 43.8 in the wet around Montmello is a little bit mad, but hey ho, it is what it is, and that is the situation. We failed to get out of Q1, failed to really get anywhere up the order in Q1 as we start the sprint and the Grand Prix from last, and as we get ready for the sprint, I'm not exactly optimistic for what will be 4 laps of carnage, I'm pretty sure, here at the Circuito de Barcelona Catalunya. So Iagora got through Q1 and used that wet weather experience to put it at the head of the second row. So one to watch will be Iagora. We're going from last. Let's see what we can do.
Everything is ready for the start of the race. Marc Marquez is the big favourite from pole position. Just a few moments more until the lights go out and the riders will get going.
Here we go then, as we get set for what will be 4 laps of the Circuito de Barcelona Catalunya for the sprint race on this MotoGP Saturday. As the lights go out and away we go, and it's not a good start because Oliveira, Miller and Bezzecchi all on the road ahead of us get a pretty good jump really, and we are way down the order at the back of the grid, which didn't help. and we lost the toe on the way into turn number 1 already. So on the brakes, we have to be nice and brave to go around the outside. We'll hold the inside line for the left. That will then turn to the outside for the right as myself and Oliveira make contact. A little bit of argy-bargy as we head through turn number 1, but around the outside of a couple of riders, around the outside of our teammate Maverick Vinales and Johan Mir on the factory Honda. And next up is Oliveira on the Prima Pramac. We all kind of concertina up and bunch up in towards turn number 4, but we do take a couple of positions from Mir and Oliveira. Next up is Jack Miller, but Mir comes back at us on the way into turn number 5 on the brakes though, up the inside, and everybody bunching up again. Miller stops in the middle of turn 5 for some reason, and we are up and through past the Australian. Next up, Fermin Aldeguer ticked him off in towards turn number 7, and we are through and up into 15th place. Next man, Pedro Acosta, down the inside of him into turn 9, but we do run a little bit wide, and Acosta gets back through. We run wide over the green, and we have to relinquish that position. So 15th position it is as we head to the second half of the opening lap of the race. Aldeguer has a look at me inside and actually makes contact with us there. He gives us a little bit of a bump as we head into the turn 10 hairpin at the end of the back straight. But as we head through to lap number 2 now, we're holding 15th position. It's been a decent start up from 23rd, but we are going to try and pinch this position off Binder down the inside into turn 4. Nicely done up the inside of the South African, our obviously KTM counterpart on the factory version of the KTM compared to our Tech 3 version. And next up is Pedro Acosta on the factory KTM as well. So we are mixed in with the factory boys, but as Costa gets through on Marini, who's dropped way down the order after quite a strong qualifying position, we look to attack the Italian as well, but unfortunately can't make that position on the Honda bike. But we do get the switch back. We lined it up perfectly, but no avail. We can't get through on Marini. We look into the inside again at turn 4. We seem to be quite strong on the brakes into turn 1, turn 4, which might actually play into our hands a little bit, especially in the main Grand Prix when we have 4 more laps to do. We'll have a couple more opportunities to move forwards, but at the minute in the sprint race we are making as much progress as we physically can, and at the minute that is P14. As we still look to try and get by Luca Marini, but we're going to have an opportunity here. There's a gap on the inside, but Marini shuts the door, not quite close alongside to get through. But as we head on to the final lap of the race, this is our final chance to get by, but we have a moment and we've crashed out of the sprint race. We've crashed from 14th. We locked the rear up, the bike got unsettled, and we went kind of over the top, a bit of a high side really on the way into turn 5. And that was all she wrote for our attack on Marini. Marquez wins, Quartararo second, Agora third. We crossed the line in 19th position. Unfortunately, no points for us in the sprint race. Martin gets 5th behind Alex Marquez. Bagnaia 6th, which means that he will jump up ahead of us in the standings. But for us, it's been a pretty torrid Saturday, qualifying last, and then no points on the board at the end of the sprint race.
Hello and welcome to Barcelona, Spain. We're coming to you from the Catalunya circuit, where the fans in the stands are eagerly awaiting the riders to take to the track. Just a few more moments and we'll switch to the starting straight for the MotoGP class race.
Here we go then with the Grand Prix at Barcelona. We need to put the sprint race behind us. That was an unfortunate end to the race. We would have liked maybe a top 12. But unfortunately not to be. But we have our eyes and full focus on this Grand Prix. 8 laps. We have 4 more laps compared to the sprint race. Starting from the back of the grid once again. So let's see what we can do here for round 3 of the Tech 3 Challenge.
This circuit has unique characteristics, and Marc Marquez has shown he knows how to adapt to them better than anyone else. He's in pole position in the race that will start in a few moments.
So 8 laps of Barcelona ahead of us. Starting from the back of the grid, as we said, let's see what we can do. Lights out and away we go, and again, just like the sprint, everybody in front of us gets a perfect start, but we are a little bit closer this time. We didn't get quite as bad as a start compared to last time as we peel to the inside, get on the brakes. We're going to make up a handful of positions side by side with Johan Mir, and then up the inside of Binder as we get high up on the inside curve. That's going to cost us a little bit of momentum and allow riders to come back through. We make a bit of contact with Fermin Aldeguer as he just transitioned into the right. We had our bite there, and somebody's gone down at the back. It's Jack Miller who's crashed out at the back, so Miller is out of the Catalan Grand Prix already. after just 3 corners. So unfortunately for Miller, his Catalan Grand Prix comes to an early end, but we are locked in a big KTM battle here with our teammates. It is the battle of the KTMs once again, and it's the battle of the Tech 3s this time, whereas in the sprint race early on it was the battle of the KTMs with the Tech 3 and the 2 factory bikes of Binder and Acosta. But we are up into P12 as we go around the outside of Morbidelli on the Pertamina VR46 Ducati, and we are up into P12. Iagora, who started 4th, let's not forget, he's had a stinker of a start. He's down into 11th place, and he is next on our target list as we head down towards turn number 10 at the end of the back straight, under pressure from Morbidelli. But on the brakes though, we brake very, very late down the inside of Agora, down the inside of his teammate Fernandez on the second Trackhouse bike. We didn't even mean to make a move on Fernandez, but the door sort of half opened and we just stick the KTM up the inside of Fernandez. There was a little bit of a rub, not much contact, but a bit of a rub, but we do get through to 10th. So we've gone from 23rd to 10th on this opening lap, which is a lot better than the sprint race, and we now might be able to try and make some further progress forward as we chase down the KTM of Pedro Acosta, the factory KTM, who is up behind Gian Antonio on the second VR46 bike and the leading VR46 bike, although he has got ahead of Jorge Martin briefly. Martino around the outside into turn number 1 to hold on to what is 7th position in that respective battle. But it is the 2 Ducatis out front, the factory Ducatis of Marc Marquez, Bagnaia. Then it's Alex Marquez, who's actually under pressure from Quartararo. I can see further up, Quartararo looking up the inside of Alex Marquez. It'll be interesting to see if he gets that as we go up the inside of Pedro Acosta into turn number 4, and actually pick up an under investigation warning for a contact with Acosta there. So we must have literally rubbed the back wheel as we went up the inside of Acosta. The move didn't come off anyway. We're still behind the Spaniard, and we've got to try and do it all over again. And we do in fact get a warning for irresponsible riding, even though there wasn't really that much contact and everything was a-okay. But we have an opportunity to try and line Acosta up for a move, try and get the exit out of turn number 9, pick up the throttle, stand the bike up, get the ride height device activated. Here we go, we've got a great run on Acosta, and we're going to get down the inside. All we have to do is level him, match him on the brakes, and we do get through. He turned in even though we were kind of there, but hey ho, that's kind of what the AI do sometimes. But we are up into P9, and we can now try and make a move on this battle that's going on ahead. We've got myself, Gian Antonio, Martin, that was Zarco, I think, running well off the track in front of us, but we've made a mistake at the final corner. We've gone in too early, we've ran over the inside curb. We had to just let go of everything to try not to crash the bike, and that puts us in the gravel. And now we've relinquished the position to Acosta, Fernandez and Agora, but we're going to capitalise on Agora's straight away down the inside into turn number 1, and before we even got to the apex we were through on the Japanese rider. So he's having a really bad Grand Prix after a strong sprint race. He's down in what is 12th position, but we've managed to capitalise on that mistake and regroup ourselves, and we're going to now peel up the inside of Fernandez into turn number 5. A very nice move up the inside, but the front end had gone. The front end had completely gone. We had to lose the front to get the bike turned because we went in so wide. We locked the front up in the middle, and the front end had absolutely gone to downtown Barcelona there, but somehow we managed to stay on and keep our charge forward going. And next on the list is the factory Aprilia of Jorge Martin, down in 9th position at his home Grand Prix. We're going to look to go around the outside of him on the brakes into turn number 10. That's probably not going to work, so we'll look to try and switch back up the inside, which we do perfectly. Inch perfect down the inside of Martin, and we're up into P9. And next man, once again, is Pedro Acosta, but again we touch the inside curve, and we have to just let the bike do its thing and not try and force it and lose the front like we did in the sprint race when it started snapping on me. And unfortunately, back behind Martin, who had a wobble going into turn 13, which then on the exit lost in momentum, and we tapped the back of him, and now we've got damage on the bike. So frustrating that that's happened. Somebody's picked up a long lap penalty. I think it was Brad Binder who's picked up a long lap penalty further back, but on the brakes, a demon on the brakes around the outside of Martin. We get it stopped, we get it pulled down over the Spaniard's nose, and we're up into P9 and back ahead of Jorge Martin, with, once again, as I keep saying, Acosta as the next target ahead of us. But out front, it still remains the same. Marquez, Bagnaia and Alex Marquez as we get it all wrong into turn number 10, and we had to take a bit of avoiding action around the outside of Pedro Acosta, but we do seem to actually gain a bit of time on the Spaniard, and we are in with a chance of trying to pick the Spaniard up at turn 12, side by side on the exit into third 13. A big brave move up the inside of Acosta, and we do get through on the Spaniard, and we are through to 8th position. Acosta up the inside at the final corner. I thought he was going to try and Rossi me there, which wouldn't have been really on, to be honest, because the move wasn't on at all. But we do set the fastest lap of the race, and Acosta rams into the back of us, which I was just about to say, with the damage of the bike, as Acosta gets up the inside at turn number 1 on the start of the final lap. Hang on a minute, we'll come back to that because we're switched backed him at turn number 2, and we are back through to 8th position, but we've ran a little bit wide because now, I was going to say the damage on the first part with Martin was fine. The damage now, the bike is not behaving at all. As we get back up the inside of Acosta, a beautiful switchback at turn number 3, we hold the line at turn 4, and that should be all she wrote for that battle. But yeah, the damage with Martin losing one side of the aero transformed the bike. It was a dream to ride. Now we've lost both sides of the aero after Acosta hit the back of us. The bike's a pig. It won't stop, it won't turn, it won't do anything. I have no confidence whatsoever on this final lap of the race, but we've only got a couple more corners to go as we touch the inside curb there. That could have been disastrous. We just need to keep ahead, and 8th place is on the cards. If Acosta gets through, a 9th place is not the end of the world after this weekend, but I would like the extra point that you get for 8th position compared to 9th. But on the brakes, we go a little bit defensive into turn number 10, brake a little bit earlier. Acosta has nowhere to go as he closes up to the back of us. He actually gets a switchback, but we cover that line and hold on to 8th position. But as you can see, 1.4 seconds down on our time. We run wide though at turn 12. Acosta not close enough though to capitalise, and we hang on to that position. We've just got 2 more corners to get through. We get through turn 13, turn 14 up next. Should be no dramas. We get through there nicely, get the drive to the short run to the line, and we do claim 8th position in Barcelona. A nice turning point and a bit of a better way to end the weekend after a torrid practice qualifying sprint, and we do pull through for 8th position at the end and get the fastest lap of the race as well. Marc Marquez though coming out victorious, so he extends the lead over Quartararo to 45 points. Martin in 3rd, Alex Marquez, Bagnaia up to 5th. We sit in 8th position with the Ducati Lenovo team walking away with it in the Constructors Championship, Team Championship, sorry. We are 6th, and in the Constructors Championship we're 4th. Ducati continue to run away. But there we go, that is it for episode number 3 of the Tech 3 Challenge. Next up, we head to Mugello for the Gran Premio d'Italia Brembo at the iconic circuit in Tuscany. If you enjoyed, hit the like button, hit subscribe, and I'll see you guys with the next episode of the Tech 3 Challenge very soon. So until then, thank you for watching, and goodbye.